Positive Anime Reviews is a review show that is designed for people who aren't very picky about their anime, like me. Most anime I watch ends up in my 5 out of 5 category. My reviews are for those people who are looking for a reason to watch anime rather than hate on it. I am willing to give any and all anime a chance before stating my opinion. Lastly, my reviews are all my opinion and might or most likely won't match yours. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful in the comments section. Thank you. And as always, possible spoiler warning ahead. Hey guys, Darth Clerk here, back with another positive anime review. Today we will be talking about Prison School. So, before we hop into this, I'm so happy to be doing positive anime review again. So last night I was able to get everything done. I completely remade all of my stuff in the back, all of my documents for positive anime review, and I remade the title cards as you have already seen. I remade my intro with I re-recorded it. And honestly, it's actually clearer than the first one I did. And then I also got new images for everything. So every new score and my intro, of course, all has new images, and I am very happy with my new choices and how I made them this time. Obviously, this time I am more experienced than I once was, and so all of my images came out better. How I built them and the colors, they contrast a lot better, and it's way better. Now, what I had to do is I had to watch one of my own reviews and listen to me talk about the section names so I could find out what my document said. So I rebuilt my new little cheat sheet document based upon that. So it is possible I missed something because I have lots of notes that I keep on the side of all of this to tell myself like who everybody is. You know what I mean? And so I keep things in the background like questions that will prompt me so I can think clearer. And so I can make sure I point things out specifically. Well, obviously, I don't say all those questions in my reviews, and that is something for me to look at to prompt me to talk about something specific. And so obviously, you guys have no way of knowing what those are, and so it is possible that I missed something, but it will be fixed with time. So this one might be a little rocky, but I'm much happier with the title, like the cards that I remade. I am way happier with that. My intro is a lot clearer, and I'm happy with that. And I'm happy to be back. Obviously, I have a new outro. It's very plain, and I am thinking about fixing that and changing it. That was just it's probably, if nothing else, it's probably like a temporary outro, as I needed something for an outro. So for now, that's what it'll be. But that is definitely subject to change in the future. Anywho, so last thing I wanted to say before we get started, thank you guys so much for all the views and comments and participation. My channel has never been bigger, and I feel like this is the start of something fun. Recently, my channel's been picking up momentum with views and subscribers, and I am just really happy about the comments that I've gotten and the views and everything else. You guys mean the world to me, more than you could possibly know, so I'm eternally grateful, so thank you guys so much. Alright, let's go ahead and hop right into this. So, of course, we are talking about Prison School. Now, before we get into anything, you have to know this anime is ridiculous, okay? And not in a bad way. It's ridiculous, it's over the top, but it's fun. Okay, so I'm going to drop that premise so that you know that this is going to be a positive one. The other thing it's a good tell of what the review's basically going to be like is in my titles. If it's going to be a normal anime review, so if the score is going to be 4 or above, a 4 out of 5 or above, then it will be positive anime reviews. If it is a 3 out of 5 or lower, it will be not so positive anime reviews, and that'll be your tell. So that is the new way I'm doing all of my titles that way. And so if it's 4 out of 5 or higher, it'll get a positive anime reviews. If it's 3 out of 5 or less, it'll be not so positive anime reviews. And so obviously I've only had one review that was a not so positive, and so that is a good glance at what it'll be like for going forward, because 9 out of 10 animes I watch I like a lot. And so it's one of those things that the list of anime I don't like is very short, and so it's something that won't happen very often, so it's obviously not going to get its own playlist. Anywho, so obviously we were talking about Prison School. So, this anime aired, let me just scroll down a little bit. This anime aired in the summer of 2015. Now, although it did air in 2015, I've heard a lot about this anime, about how everyone says it's ridiculous, it's over the top, it's insane, etc., etc. They were not wrong. That was 100% accurate. Now, there is a dub, but I did not watch the dub, and this is made by Funimation, and it's licensed by Funimation, and so there is a dub. I didn't watch it, but I have heard the dub is not good. Now, that's just 100% what I have heard, like, by some, like, I've heard that, like, rumors. Of course, I have no way of knowing. I'm not saying that's fact. I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying that's what I've heard. So I have not seen it, but I know that I watched the sub, and it was fantastic. Anyway, so that was really, really cool. Now, as always, we will be starting with the synopsis, because it's the best way to sum it up, and it's better than listening to me yapping. Anyway, located on the outskirts of Tokyo, oh man, I'm just so bad at this. Hachimitsu Private Academy is a prestigious all-girls boarding school famous for its high-quality education and disciplined students. However, this is all about to change due to the revision of the school's most iconic policy, as boys are now able to enroll as well. At the start of the first semester, under this new decree, a mere 5 boys have been accepted, effectively splitting the student body into a ratio of 200 girls to 1 boy. Kiyoshi, Gakuto, Shingo, Andre, and Joe are quickly cast away without having a chance to make any kind of first impression. Unable to communicate with their fellow female students, the eager boys set their sights on a far more dangerous task, peeping into the girls' bath. It's only after their plan is thoroughly decimated by the infamous Underground Student Council that the motley crew find their freedom abruptly taken from them, and they are thrown into the school's prison with the sentence of an entire month as punishment. Thus begins the tales of the boys' harsh lives in prison school, a righteous struggle that will ultimately test the bonds of friendship and perverted brotherhood. Okay, so obviously, just from reading that, like, synopsis, you can already tell what type of anime this is going to be. So, this anime is extremely ecchi. Extremely ecchi. Like, the whole time, I'm just like, what? Like, I'm just, every time, like, a scene happened that was just crazy, I was just like, I was like, oh my god, like, every time. It was just blown away every time. Anyway, so as far as rating goes, obviously, this anime is extremely dirty. Definite R rating. Just because, like, it's so over the top. It's so over the top. You know, we'll get into all the semantics as to why once we get a little deeper into it, but it's really over the top, but it's really good. Like, it's surprising that it gets you hooked, even though it's so ecchi. But it was fun. It's basically, if you picture, like, High School DxD, but if you dialed it up to 11 and you took away the fantasy elements, that's basically what it is. And it's really, really intense. So as far as genre, it's no surprise, it is a ecchi. Now, and the genres listed on the site is comedy, ecchi, romance, and school. The comedy was the comedy is there. It's not, when I say comedy, don't picture, like, you know, over the top comedy, but my goal is to make you laugh. It's not like a stand-up comedy, you know what I mean, where or over the top, like, you know, goofy character comedy. It still has more of a I say realistic, but it has kind of a quote-unquote realistic feel to it. So it's not, it is funny, but it's more funny of what's happening or what's being said. It's not like a slapstick comedy, and so I would say that's probably true, but it is ecchi. Romance, kinda. There is characters that like each other and stuff, so I guess it's kind of a romance, but it's not the point of it. Like, there was a happily ever after. Some characters did meet up in the end, and it was obvious they were dating and stuff, or it was obvious that either they would or they were already. So that, all of that is good news. It is, I don't know, it was good. It was really good. So moving on, the season length, this is a 12 episode anime with very normal 24-minute episodes. There is nothing after each episode, so you're not missing anything. And that was actually something that is missing from my little list here. Let me make a quick little cheat sheet. Give me 1 minute. Okay, we are back. So I added that to make sure to talk about, is there anything after each episode? So there is nothing after each episode, so you're not missing anything. So don't be concerned. It's just preview to what's going to happen next. So, of course, that is easy to skip. Now, going into our character list here, there is a fair amount of characters here, but there is a fair amount of characters, but they're all very easy to keep track of and figure out who's who. It's very, very simple. So don't be concerned. Although I am looking and I'm not... Okay, there she is. Never mind. We're good there. There's a few characters here that I'm not seeing that are going to be important. So I guess I will have to look up the character list somewhere else. Okay, I looked up another character list, and this one is far more complete than the other one I was looking at, so we will be going off of this one. So the character list is fairly small and easy to picture. A lot of there was a few characters that were introduced at the end of the very end of the anime, and so they're definitely from the manga for sure. And I actually wouldn't mind reading the manga just to see who these characters were and what happens like afterwards and stuff. And maybe they'll make a season 2. I really don't know. I would love one. It was over the top and ridiculous, but it was fun. Anyway, so going into our character list. Now, our main character is going to be Kiyoshi. Okay, we are back. Sorry, I was looking at the character list and I was trying to figure out what the names matched with what I knew, and I was trying not to get anything confused. Anywho, so our first main character is going to be Kiyoshi. Now, he is definitely the main character. There's a lot of other secondary main characters, but he is the main one. Now, as far as personality goes, he is a lot like the rest of them, where these 5 boys, they did transfer into this all-girls school, and of course they are outnumbered by a lot. It's like 200 to 1 ratio. It's crazy. Now, he is pretty much ousted just like all the other 5 boys, so all the girls are afraid of him, and they don't interact with them at all. And these guys, they all had a different mental image of like getting a girlfriend and etc., etc., etc. But of course, none of that happened. And so he is like the rest of them, but he leans toward the normal side rather than some of them lean towards like they're really crazy in one way or another, or they have like really over the top perks. But Kiyoshi is far more fairly normal. In regards to what every other character is like. Now, he will be and again, I'm colorblind, so my ability to tell people's like hair colors is going to be a little, damaged, but, He is the black-haired main character, and he is, of course, one of 5 boys in the whole anime, so it's pretty easy to keep track of that way. Now, our next character, and I will be calling the other 4 boys by their nicknames, because that's what they call them the entire anime, so that's the reason I was thrown through a loop, because it gives their real full name on these character lists, and so I'm like, was that his name? And I'm like, trying to figure out what's what. So the next character, and his name is Gakuto. He is the long-haired male character that wears glasses, and he is the only glasses-wearing character, so again, he should be pretty easy to keep track of. Now, he is the second of the 5 boys. Now, his whole quirk is that he is obsessed with, like, the 3 Kingdoms period, and he always refers to himself as yours truly. And so, I mean, that's not incredible. That's not unusual for anime thing. Lots of characters have weird, quirks across any anime. So that's nothing unusual for anime fans. But everyone calls him Gakuto, and that's what I know him as. So I will be calling everybody by their nicknames. Anyway. So, and he is a good guy. Him and Kiyoshi get to be pretty close friends, especially by the end of it, but I'll talk about all 5 boys, and then I'll talk about their friendship and stuff. But anyway, otherwise he's a really good guy. I mean, he is obsessed with 3 Kingdoms, and he calls himself yours truly all the time, but otherwise he's a good dude, and him and Kiyoshi get pretty tight, and that's really cool. Now, our next main character is going to be Shingo. Now, that is his name, and that's what everybody calls him. And he is the blonde-haired character. Now, otherwise, I mean, as far as just, like, outside looking in, he is the quote-unquote coolest looking of all 5 of them, in my humble opinion. But he's ousted just like every other boy. Now, he does some actions which are less than cool throughout in some parts of the anime, but he totally comes around, and you totally respect him too by the end, so it's nothing that doesn't get resolved, and so that's totally fine. Now, otherwise, he does become a good guy, and then he gets tight just like the rest of them, but there was a middle period where you're like, dude, seriously? And that's not really cool. Although it is mentioned that him and Kiyoshi have known each other since they were kids, and I don't know how the rest of them meet or whatever, but they do mention it, they mention it several times that Shingo and Kiyoshi have known each other since they were kids. So that's interesting. Now going into the next one, our next main character is Joe, and that's what everybody calls him. He's the one wearing the white hood. It never reveals his face, not like, not in In the anime, it doesn't anyway. Maybe it does in the manga. But in the anime, it never reveals his face. You can just see like his features and stuff. Now, he has a weak constitution, and so he's coughing all the time, and he is like physically weaker than the rest of them. And so that is sort of his quirk throughout it. He's also obsessed, absolutely obsessed with an ant farm, with ants and stuff. I don't know why. Don't ask me. That's the quirk he was assigned, okay? Anyway, otherwise, he's a good dude. He tends to be quieter. Him and our next character, Andre, seem to be friends, seem to be a little closer than with each other than the other three, so that's just something you should note. The last boy is nicknamed Andre. He is the biggest looking dude, and although his face looks like, it doesn't look, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't look, it looks like too small for his body. I am forgetting, there's a word I'm thinking of that I'm forgetting, but disproportionate. His face is disproportionate to the rest of them, in my opinion. However, he's the big looking dude. He has some kind of, actually, you know what? We will get to that when we talk about another character. Okay, anyway, so his name is Andre, and he is otherwise, he's not as quiet as Joe, but he's not quite as over the top and loud as maybe the other three boys are. But otherwise, he is a good dude. And we'll get to his quirks. We have to mention another character to talk about his quirks, so we'll get to that in a minute. But those are the 5 boys. Now, something this anime did that 100% surprised me was obviously it's ecchi. I knew that going in. I've heard about how ecchi this anime is. I knew that going in. But I was pleasantly surprised because there were some feels moments. Nothing like, they were very sporadic, but occasionally they would have a moment you're like, aw. And so obviously it says it in the synopsis. So these boys, they get sent to this prison inside the school, and it's run by the Underground Student Council. Now, I don't know why there's an Underground Student Council, and I just learned looking at the wiki that there is also an Above Ground Student Council. That wasn't clear in the anime who these other set of characters were, and I'll mention them, but they're not in the anime until the very last episode, so it was definitely a thing from the manga, but I really want to read the manga because I want to know who these people are. Anyway, not the point. So, so these 5 boys, they have lots of crazy trials and crazy hardships while they're in this prison, and there's lots of escape plans, and it's really fun because it's actually a lot like there's a lot of like Prison Break and making plans, and there was a lot of really funny moments, and it was really cool because it was like it was like watching a movie about like breaking out of prison, or it was like watching a heist movie or something. Like, it was really cool. It was really cool to see it all come together, and you're like on the edge of your seat when they're escaping or they're trying to get away, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get caught or whatever. And that was a surprising fun twist, and I really liked that. And these 5 boys, they actually get really tight with each other. That they all have their quirks, and some crazy things happen. A lot of crazy things happen along the journey that these guys have in this prison, but at the end they actually had some feels moments where they were totally united, and they were closer friends than they ever were before, because they had to rely on each other to survive this prison. And it was really cool. There was some feels moments, and there was lots of moments where you cheered for them the whole time, and they had some feels moments where you could see their brotherhood, and it was just really cool, and that was really, really fun. So moving on to our next set of characters, this is the Underground Student Council. These are the 3, they're pretty much the 3 villains, more or less, of the anime. These 3 are trying to get the 5 boys kicked out of school, and they really don't like them, and these are the ones that are responsible for pretty much their torture throughout the anime. Anyway, and so the first one is the president. Her name is Mari. She is the president and the ruthless leader of the Underground Student Council, pretty much. And she's intense. She's very intense. She has this, she takes care of a whole bunch of crows. And so she's there's crows always nearby. And it's for whatever reason, it 100% works with her aesthetic. It's great. Anyway, and so she is the really intense looking, high status, I think it's purple, maybe purple haired girl, and she's really intense. I really like her, and she is the ruthless leader responsible for all of the plans that this council makes to kick the people out of school. and we'll get into all of these characters, some other stuff later in a minute. So the next character, she's one of the other main villains. Her name is Mako. I think it's how you would pronounce it, Mako. Now she is the vice president of the Underground Student Council, and she is probably the most seen of all three. She oversees the 5 boys directly in the prison, and she is almost always the one there. Now, her and Andre have this weird thing too, because she like beats the tar out of the boys, and the next character does too. But Mako beats the crap out of the boys throughout the anime, and Andre really likes it. All he wants out of life is to get beaten up by this girl. Okay, so that's their weird relationship, and that's Andre's quirk, is he's like weird sadomasochistic stuff. And I mean, it's not that weird. If you like it, that's great. It's just that he's always going on about it. Maybe that's what's weird. But anyway, and so all he wants is for Mako, the vice president, to beat the crap out of him. Anyway, and Mako's really intense. She is. Man, this is like so awkward to go into. Like it's so much different to watch it, but like hashing it out is like really hard to get into. She's well endowed, let's say that, and she's like constantly sweating, like it's so awkward. So the whole time you're just like, wait, what is happening? Like, this anime always hits you with that, which is like, what is happening? It happens all the time. Anyway, and so she's really intense. She's like the, I don't know, pink, white haired. I can't actually tell if her hair is pink or white. She has the glasses. She is the vice president. Let's move on, okay? Anyway, so the next and the last character of the Underground Student Council is Hannah. Hannah is the blonde girl, and she is really, really intense. Her and Kiyoshi have this weird thing because there is lots of awkward, crazy moments that happen between Hannah and Kiyoshi, and Hannah is obsessed with revenge on Kiyoshi. I won't tell you what happens, and it's something I want you to see for yourself because it's awkward enough. I'm not going into it. Anyway, lots of intense. Hannah and Kiyoshi have this weird feud of hate, and Hannah hates Kiyoshi. Not going to go into it. You'll see who she is. She's the blonde-haired character. She's like a black belt in something, and she's really, really intense. Moving on. So on the wiki, it says the Above Ground Student Council. There is 3 characters here. We only meet them once briefly in the very last episode, and it's like after the credits. It's one of the only things after the credits. And so yeah, it's one of the only things after the credits in the last episode, which everyone should stay tuned after the credits in any anime, by the way. But anyway, and then there is Kei, Risa, and Mitsuko. We don't meet them. We don't know who these people are. It doesn't really talk about them in the anime. And yeah, so I can't really talk about them that heavily, but I do want to read the anime just to see what happens with them and stuff. Anyway, so and the last set of main characters, these are all supporting characters to be sure. One character is Chiyo. She is one of the brown-haired characters. She is the love interest for Kiyoshi, and they actually hit it off pretty well, and she becomes a great ally of the boys as they endure a lot of what's happening in the prison school, and she ends up helping them out quite a lot. Now, and she's definitely a supporting character, and she's awesome. She's cute, and she's really nice to Kiyoshi, and she doesn't like, believe the rumors like a lot of the girls of the school do, where they're all terrified of him, of all the boys. And so that was really nice to have someone that's a little level-headed. Now, the next side character is Mayumi. Oh man, it's hard to say with my stutter. She is a friend of Chiyo, and they're friends. Mayumi is definitely supportive character. You don't meet her incredibly often, but she's nice, and she's a great friend to Chiyo, and she helps her out a lot. Now, the next supporting character is Anzu. Anzu is a love interest of Shingo, and you meet her about halfway through. At first, some bad things happen with her. I won't go into spoilers, but she actually ends up getting a great ending, and she comes around, and lots of good stuff happens there. Anyway, the last character is the chairman. He is the chairman of the school. He is really over the top. He's just really really weird, and I'm not going to go into why. You watch it, you'll see. He's one of the only guys in it. He has a mustache. He's old. He's that guy. Okay, so I will try and put arrows to each character. I'll try to put arrows. I'll try to get as much pictures of as many characters as I can. But a lot of the supporting characters probably won't have a. Man, it's hard to concentrate. A lot of characters won't have an image because if a lot of anime are really hard to find pictures for to show side characters. So the main characters and the student council, I'm willing to bet I could easily get pictures of them. Of anyone else is going to be really hard, most likely. So if there's no pictures found, it's because I couldn't find any. So moving on, that list is long because there's a lot in this anime you have to understand. So anyway, as far as favorite, and I've actually changed this section, so instead of just favorite characters, this is favorite / most hated characters. Who did I love? Who did I hate? Etc., etc. So as far as who I loved, my favorite character, oddly enough, isn't any of the boys. My favorite character is Mari, the president of the Underground Student Council. Now, she is my favorite because I love that like dark, brooding character type of like the brutal female overseer, like creepy girl. Like I love that character type, and Mari is 100% there. She is like this ruthless leader of the Underground Student Council. She has lots of status. Mako, the vice president, like worships the ground she walks on, and that's fun. And so Mari is actually my favorite character, even though she is like the head villain. Now, as a side little fact, Mari and Chio are sisters, and Mari is Chio's older sister. So some fun little side facts for you. As far as my least favorite character, I didn't really have any character that I hated. So I'm going to leave that part out because there wasn't any character I really disliked. There was characters that I didn't have much opinion on, like Andre. I didn't really have much opinion on him. He didn't really mean that much to me. Like Hannah, same way. I don't really have that much opinion. Maybe if I had to choose a character I liked the least would be the chairman. I liked him the least, but I didn't even dislike him. If you had to choose one. Anyway, so moving on into our animation and music section, the animation is really good in this anime. It is well animated, and it's really, really... It really helps the whole thing because there's a lot of little details and really craziness that happens. Like when one of the villains like punches one of the boys across the face, it happens a lot. Like the animation of them getting hit is incredible. And so it's one of those things that it really helps sell the whole shindig, because otherwise might be harder to really feel the impact, but you really felt it. When one of the boys got hit or something crazy happened, or there was lots of like crazy tension because they're doing an escape or something, and the animation and the music were totally there. You totally felt it. And the music was really good. I remember specifically thinking the animation was stellar, and so that was definitely a plus for it. So moving on into our final rating and recommendation. Our final rating is going to be a 5 out of 5. Very good. This anime made no mistakes worth noting and is definitely worth a buy. So I think that's totally accurate. This anime, of course, is totally ecchi, but and over the top. It was ecchi and over the top in a lot of ways. But for whatever reason, in a lot of ways, it made it work. Where it was over the top, it was aggressive, but it was fun. And the whole time, even though all this crazy stuff was happening, you totally cheered for the boys. You wanted things to work out for them. You loved it when they all like united together and became buddies. I mean, there was a lot to love, and it's weird too because a lot of ecchi anime tends to be very shallow, but this one just felt deeper than a lot of other ones, and you were cheering for the boys and a lot of people, and it was just really well made. There was lots of all of like the escape attempts and like all of that type of stuff was really well put together. There was twists that you didn't see coming. It was fun, and and that was weird. Now, something I will say, there is a censored and an uncensored version. The censored version I didn't watch. I watched the uncensored version because, in my opinion, I don't want anything censored. I want to know what's happening. So I watch all anime that has a censored. I always find it uncensored. However, so I can't tell you what the censored was like. I would imagine it cuts out a lot because I started one of the episodes in censor, but I didn't even finish it because I was like, don't tell me what I can't see or whatever. Anyway, and so I would imagine a lot gets cut out. So if you are into any of this at all, I do recommend watching an uncensored version. It wasn't terribly hard to find. They were very easy to find, so I don't think you should suffer too much if you're trying to find it, but just be patient and find one. Believe me, it's better for it. You'll definitely enjoy it more if you are a fan of any of this stuff. Now, as far as recommendation, I do recommend the anime. If you are okay with ecchi, or if you really like ecchi anime, but you're specifically like one that's deeper than a lot of ecchi, where there's characters you actually care about, or there's actually character development or whatever, then this is the ecchi anime for you, because it's ecchi, but there's still development, there's still characters, there's still a plot, and it's still fun. And not every ecchi can say that, so I think that's definitely good. Now, if you don't like it, if you're not a fan of ecchi, if you don't like, if you don't like any of that stuff, stay away. This anime is not going to do it for you. This will not be up your alley. So anyway, but yeah, otherwise that's the show. This was a longer review, but the characters, there was a lot to talk about in the character list, so what are you gonna do? But anyway, regardless, though, that is going to call for this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed my new title cards, my new intro, my new rating card, and you'll see the other ones as they appear or whatever, but it was really good. I really liked it, and I think you guys will as well. So that's going to call for this one. Right after this, I will be recording part 7 of our Smuggler playthrough, and we're getting really close to being able to finish the game. At a guess, I would say probably tomorrow's part will probably be the part where we finish the Smuggler story, which would be really, really cool, and it would not surprise me at all if that happened that way, so that would be really, really sick. Anyway, that's going to call for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.